What's up, YouTube? Today is Valentine's Day. So, yeah, it's kind of a good day to talk about love and my personal opinion on it. Um, Funny thing is when you are dating, um, when you're dating in the LGBT community, there's like main days or leading up to certain particular days where there's a lot of commotion, you might say. And that will depend on whether or not things work out for you as a couple. Some of these major holidays are Valentine's Day, of course. It's like you miss Valentine's Day. You probably can't make a really good reason for that. If you do, in my opinion, if somebody misses something, they say they're gonna do something, and in that particular instance, you should probably, um, well, I mean, like if they suggest a time to make it up to you or to do it before or after, that might be okay. If there's a family emergency or something, but like if they're just kind of like, oh, well, it's not important and it's a capitalist holiday and they give you excuses, it's kind of like, well, they probably really are not like into you that much or love you that much. Um, and so I don't know. I guess this Valentine's Day has been. Hopefully, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna hang out with some friends and whatnot, but I have run into situations where people just don't have the balls to tell you, hey, this is not really working out, or they lead you on and say, oh yeah, we can hang out, and then they don't. And for those kinds of people, they're not really worth your time. I mean, you can always there's lots of opportunities out there, but if you've been dating somebody a while, it always is a bit painful if they change plans on you last minute. So some of these other major events are around Pride, like the first the week, the month, or in the first the couple of weeks before Pride. A lot of times, if people feel like there's a lot of opportunities coming, they might bail on a particular relationship if it's not serving them, or it isn't as compatible as they would like. Now, sometimes that always comes as kind of a bummer for the other person because the other person might be willing to try and maybe doesn't view the bumps along the road as that major. But it's good to kind of around once you've made it through about a year of dating anyone, you're pretty much set that as long as you don't mess things up, eventually you'll probably get to a point where you guys will be able to create something more solid. If you're seeking marriage or a long-term partnership, it seems like if you can make it to 6 months, you got a pretty good shot. But things tend to fall apart before that. And the only advice I can give to you is like try to make a judgment call like a month into a relationship whether or not you guys are compatible enough to keep working on it. Because like if you make a judgment call, you kind of have to stick by that. Because the fact is you probably pondered on it and you've had some time to think about it and to see about how compatible you really are. The problem is if you invest too much in the wrong person, you're letting other primary relationships that will probably be there a lot longer, like your family and your friends. They kind of, when you're in an intense partnership, a lot of that kind of falls by the wayside, and it's just inevitability that when you either get married, engaged, you move in with somebody, you have anything where it's a little bit more serious. It's very time consuming, and because you're trying to create something, and the thing is if both people are willing to grow together and learn and say, oh well, this is affecting this person in this way, I can modify this. If both people are willing to give, then that's good. The other thing to keep in mind is where you're at in your life. People who have never had a committed partnership before are at a different stage. They're more likely to be more dramatic. Everything's a lot bigger of a deal. Everything you try to keep really smooth, and still there's a good likelihood that if it's new to them, it's just not gonna work out. And so in those sorts of situations, especially around Valentine's Day, you're like, you should try to like reach out, go hang out with friends, don't feel sit around feeling sad because like obviously they weren't the right person for you. You know what I mean? And so there's like a lot of awesome people out there that are outgoing or they have similar interests to you, and it's like don't feel like just because one opportunity doesn't work out or one situation, then you can't pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and say, look, I'm going to be my best self for me. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be positive. And in times where it's more difficult, just get it off your chest somehow. Talk to a helpline or a call line, and you're gonna probably be a bit sad because you're kind of like, well, hey, I was gonna spend the special day with them. I was gonna spend Christmas with them or Thanksgiving. Christmas is a big time. Christmas, I would say, or if you celebrate Yule, but right around that time of the year, New Year's is another one. Right around Pride. Those are all major events. Somebody's birthday, usually things like that. Anytime you're really invited to a special activity that's out of the norm, like, hey, we're going to go to this dance, or I want to go on a trip here, anything like that, major vacations, those are all really critical to friends and family, and if you're dating somebody, even more so. And so when you got to just take into consideration commitment and what that means to you, and be upfront about it. But the thing is like it's almost best to not share your concerns if you're not going to go see a counselor or a therapist with your partner. There's really not a point in sharing your concerns with somebody else, because if they're not unwilling to change, it's just going to make it more difficult for you to move on. And the thing is like I just I had some awesome experiences with this last relationship, but then I realized that we were not as compatible as I was hoping we could be, and I was working really hard. I didn't feel like all my efforts and the things that I valued was reciprocated. I went to a bunch of conventions on my own, and frankly, I just felt really alone, and I felt like even in the relationship, I just didn't feel like he was really that engaged. And I think that's the problem. Is just like we have to be careful that you know when we've committed to somebody that we're there for them, not just when it's convenient for us. Not, it's about when what's important to the other person. Can we put the other person first? And I feel like I did put the other person first, but at my own expense. It's like I was indoors a lot. I was not doing social activities. Wasn't out in nature like I loved that summer. And it was just kind of like, did I learn a lot? Yeah. Did I have some awesome experiences? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, were we right for each other? I don't think we were. At least that's what everyone has been saying, external opinions. So yeah, hopefully this is a little bit helpful. I know it's a little bit more morose, but nobody likes to be told like a day or two before Valentine's Day, hey, I'm not gonna, we already did something, and all these excuses. That's just not cool. So my only advice to you is if somebody isn't working out for you, just think about those major event holidays and try to let somebody know maybe like a month in advance, like maybe a month before Valentine's Day, like in January if things aren't working out, or maybe like a month before Pride. You know, people they deserve to know where you're at, and they deserve to know when you feel like, hey, this is, I don't really feel like investing any more time or assets into this. So, although I still have feelings for the past people I've been with, I feel like sometimes either we meet people at a time in our life where we both still need to grow more, or they might just not be the right person for us. And it's nobody's. Everyone makes mistakes in relationships, but the thing is it's more about, um, in my observation, it's more about people who start out with a pretty good level of a compatibility, in multiple ways, because sometimes a person who might be good for you in bed and might be what you're looking for as far as how attractive they are might not be good for you when it comes to doing things out in public. Like if you're an extrovert, they're an introvert. You guys are always going to be having this thing where one wants to stay home, wants to keep the other one home, the other one wants to go out, the other person doesn't want to go out. That kind of conflict. It's just not cool unless somebody wants to like bend. So you either have to accept the fact that you're going to be out in public doing a lot of stuff by yourself, or you have friends to compensate for that need. Or you have to be like, I'm going to sacrifice all of my stuff out in public, like dances, conventions, all that kind of stuff, and put it into, you know, into their investing with them and just staying at home. And the thing is like, I would suggest for those people who do have pride and who they are to stay with people who have pride. It's pretty easy to tell. If somebody needs help along the way to have pride in their innate attractions, that's cool. You can give them basically if somebody's going to be PDA in public. If they aren't going to be PDA in public, they don't have enough pride to probably be with you if you're the type of person who's just like, this is my boyfriend, I want to show him off, I want to hold his hand, I want to give him a kiss, whatever, in public. And that's allowed, and it's like in our country. And you don't need to have to feel afraid because you're with a guy or if you're with a girl, it doesn't matter. But like somebody who is just really ultra conservative might not be, and they make excuses, but they can kind of detract from your pride. They can place this unreasonable fear in you, like, hey, we can't be PDA here, here, here. It's like I only want to, it's like that kind of thing. It's like, well, if they're closeted, great for them. Go be with closeted people. There's a lot of them. If you haven't come out yet, that's the perfect match for somebody like you. They're not gonna draw any red flags to anyone to say, hey, this person is, you know, um, that they're with a person or whatever. And so I guess it still kind of hurts, because I want everyone to have the pride that I have. But I guess it's unreasonable because when you're in California, when everyone treats you normal, you come back with a sense of pride, with a sense of comfortability about like what you can and can't do with a guy in public. But then the problem is just like everyone around you is saying, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. They're all in this fear-based mindset. And it's just like you got to find people who are out and proud, and that's why YouTube's so awesome because like if somebody is like not, on board with that, you can always be like, oh, okay, well, that's fine that you don't want to do that, but I'm looking for somebody who is okay with it. And so I hope that this is helpful, and whatever you do, just have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and hopefully soon I'll have new video uploads for you. I'm hanging out with some friends today, so it's not going to be a complete drag, but as far as love goes, sometimes you gotta just let things go, and and I'm sure that as you keep striving to be you and be authentic to you and around the people around you, they'll eventually respect you for the differences you have. And if they don't, you'll find other people in your life who will, and people who are similar will gravitate together. Let's see. Peace.